Welcome all of you to the Facebook Friday edition of the OTRS Central Q&A series. Thanks to all of you that went to the OTRS Central Facebook page and posted your questions there. Much appreciated. Enough questions, in fact, that it looks like I'm going to record two parts to the Friday Q&A. That might become a recurring theme in the future. I'm not sure based off of the response to the Facebook questions as opposed to the Twitter questions, but we'll see. We'll see. But I can tell you that this will be part one of two. Fair enough? All right, so let me go get about 14 minutes worth of questions here and then split it up and do another video. Andy Nielsen asks, Kevin Dunn eating carrots out of Vince's ass and Vince sucking John Cena's dick at the same time. Should this be made into the WWE sheet porn? Sounds like a Pat Patterson porn. Bah. See, these are the type of questions I fucking love. Not every question has to be serious. And look, I looked at some of these questions ahead of time. It looks like some of you guys really went out of your way to try and have some fun with this. Makes it a lot more fun for me. I appreciate it. Alrighty, what do we got here? Johannes Pressler just heard the Heel Book podcast about their WrestleMania 31 fantasy booking. Your thoughts? Divas title, AJ versus Stephanie. Dean Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt. Tag titles, Gold and Stardust versus Barrett and Jericho. United States title, Rusev versus Cesaro. Undertaker and Sting versus Rollins and Orton. IC title, Ziggler versus Triple H. John Cena versus Roman Reigns. And WWE title, Brock Lesnar versus The Rock versus Daniel Bryan. If this is a fantasy booking just in terms of these are matches that they would want to see, okay, that's their perspective. However, if this is a fantasy booking in a way that they are trying to present this as this would be good for business, this looks like typical IWC internet indie loving bullshit. I'm just telling you flat out. I mean, some of the matches on here would be really good. Obviously, Dean Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt would probably be tremendous. Rusev versus Cesaro could actually be very good. Ziggler versus Triple H would be very, very good. Cena versus Reigns would be very good in its own way because of what it represents. But this card, from a pure business standpoint, is the fucking drizzling shits. We'll start off at the top. The WWE title match. You've got Brock Lesnar versus the fucking Rock. And you're going to throw Daniel Bryan into the fucking mix? Excuse the fuck out of me. Brock Lesnar, The Rock, Daniel Bryan. Yes, yes, yes. You can tell a wrestling fan came up with this shit, and let me guess, they had Daniel Bryan going over. If this is what they would want to see purely from a fan standpoint, again, I need to emphasize, whatever. Not what I would want to see, but there are plenty of people that would probably like this, and this would be a big attraction to a degree because of Brock Lesnar and The Rock. And then it would be like Daniel Bryan's a fucking third wheel. And if you have Daniel Bryan win in a match involving Brock Lesnar and The Rock, I mean, a lot of fans are just going to look at that and say, oh, give me a fucking break. You're going to have John Cena versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 31, but you're not going to have him wrestle for the title? Well, that's dumb. If you're going to do a passing of the torch, a changing of the guard, then that needs to involve the fucking title. Dolph Ziggler versus Triple H for the IC title. Why would God ever sit there and lower himself to the level of Dolph Ziggler? Let's keep it real. And furthermore, the level of the IC title in 2014. You're not going to waste Triple H at WrestleMania in an IC title match with Dolph Ziggler. Even the US title, Rusev versus Cesaro. You know what? I'll give you that one. But Undertaker and Sting versus Rollins and Orton. This is actually the type of shit you'd almost believe WWE would do. The fans want to see Undertaker versus Sting, at least some of them. So let's pair them up in a tag team match. Where's the appeal in that? The fuck would be the point of that? I mean, Divas title, AJ versus Stephanie. What's the point of that? Now, this is why fans, a lot of fans, shouldn't be booking shit. You can have whatever ideal dream matches you want, but from a business standpoint, this is the absolute fucking drizzling shits. It is. No offense, but that's the truth. I'd expect if I put out something that is the drizzling shits from a business standpoint, that people would tell me that it's the drizzling shits, and not just because I annoy them or not just because of the way I approach things, but because of why it's the drizzling shits, like actually being able to sell me on why it would be the drizzling shits. Gerard Jazz Montague. When Psycho Sid goes into the Hall of Fame, who should induct him? Johnny Ace talking about advanced offensive repertoires, or Arn Anderson with a pair of scissors? Give me double A all day. Maybe the old U.S. Olympics women's softball team and have Jenny Finch do it. Matthew Alicia. How different would things have been had Jannetty been the one to turn heel? Would the landscape have been different, if anything at all? Oh, I'm sure it would have been different. And I'm assuming Shawn Michaels would have been talented enough to eventually find his way. But how long would that have taken, and how far would that way have actually gone? Yeah, things would be tremendously different. Not necessarily for a good thing either. Jake Lee. Stinkface Bronco Buster Motorboat Boobs. There we go. Naomi, Natalia, Stephanie McMahon. I will take a Stinkface from Naomi, a Bronco Buster from Natalia, and Motorboat the Boobs of Stephanie. There we go. I don't want Natalia farting in my face with a stink face. Just saying. Ishmael Tarawali, Hire, Fire, Make Champ, Orton's ring boner, Kevin Nash's quad, and WCW's second row. You got to hire, well, from a WWE standpoint, you got to hire WCW second rope. You got to fire Kevin Nash's quad, and I think you got to make Orton's ring boner the champ. Because you could actually say you have some competition in terms of Kevin Nash's torn quad. See Vince McMahon at the 05 Rumble. He tore two of them at the same fucking time. I'm just saying, all the shit people give about Kevin Nash tearing his quad, where the fuck is all the jokes about Vince doing it? I've never understood that. Nash tore one. Vince tore two getting into the fucking ring. That to me is comedy of the highest order. And much funnier than Kevin Nash tore his quad typing that tweet or some shit. David Herbst. Should Scott Steiner give John Cena a math lesson on how to apply his submission maneuver properly? Anything involving Scott Steiner giving a math lesson is always a yes. Always a yes. Aaron Zach, are you a tip man or an ass man? I'd probably say more so an ass man. Spiky Mikey, will WWE ever give the UK the WWE network has been leading us on time and time again? At some point in time, it's eventually going to happen, even if they don't intend to. Maybe they'll try and give it to like Brazil and ends up going to the UK instead. Or it's probably already available in Brazil. Luke Harris. I'll repeat a question that I actually didn't get an answer from you when I asked it. Okay. Of all the talents John Cena has buried over the years, which one hurt WWE the most in the killing of a possible new star? Like I said, there's so many of them. I think the shit with Ryback was pretty bad, though. The shit with Wade Barrett and the Nexus might have even been worse because that was an entire group of individuals, including Ryback. I mean, that was pretty bad. So, because of the amount of people involved, I got to say John Cena's burial of the Nexus. Kuazad. Do you think Roman Reigns will still get the big push from WWE when he returns back from injury? Yes, because he's 6 foot something and 260 something. If he's 5'10" and 190 like Daniel Bryan, then no, you don't. Just saying. David Ben says, WWE become WCW. Think about it. Nitro went 3 hours. Raw went 3 hours. They both basically kept the same guys on top from the beginning of their main event runs in Hall and Hogan and Nash, and then Cena and Orton. I think to a degree it's getting to that point. Yeah, I do. They're not all the way there yet, but they're getting to that point. They're a lot closer than people might want to imagine or believe. Also, do you feel WWE needs to feel threatened to get better? Yeah, I do, because when Stephanie McMahon sits there and does that little Q&A thing that was all over Yahoo the other day, and she's talking about, there might not be a top flight competitor in terms of professional wrestling, but there are all these other forms of entertainment that are competition. Well, the company hasn't acted like those have been competition for over a decade now. I mean, that's the truth. So yeah, I think they do. Because they're obviously not competing. And part of it is because the WWE lives in their own fantasy world. Like Stephanie's invoking these misleading bullshit numbers talking about WWE has 450 million social media followers. How come nobody ever questions them on that math? Where the fuck they come up with those figures? How many of those are actually unique followers? You get what I'm saying, guys. Jeremy Ishmael. Hey, Schleg Daddy, do you think Hulk Hogan is underappreciated by most of the IWC and younger fans? Oh, sure. I mean, but to be fair to them, it's not a knock to them because they weren't around for it. They don't get it. They don't understand it. The business has changed so much since the time when Hogan is at the top. So it's a little harder to get. So, yeah, I mean, sure they do. I'm not going to knock them for that or blame them for that. Mitch Lopez, what are your thoughts on Brock Lesnar's next title defense being a TLC? Would you want to see a triple threat match between Brock Lesnar, John Cena, and Randy Orton? Oh, good God. And as far as I could tell, I thought the next title defense would be at the Royal Rumble. I think that's far too long to wait to have Lesnar appear again. Especially if Lesnar's not going to be around long term, you would think that if you're going to put the fucking belt on the guy, that you would want to get a little more out of him again. I'm okay with not having the guy on TV every single week or wrestling every single week on TV or wrestling every single pay-per-view. When you're talking about skipping basically 3 months of action and 3 months of television, that's too much for the way the WWE is constructed. It just is. It makes it stupid. And fuck no, I don't want to see a Lesnar versus Cena versus Orton in any main event of any fucking pay-per-view. That'd be terrible. Roger Byrne Frozen. I hope I'm not too late. You're not. Would you pay to see Putin versus Obama at WrestleMania? Yeah, I would. Daniel Harrison. Fuck, Mary Kill. Tori Wilson, Candice Michelle, and Victoria. I will fuck Candice Michelle, marry Victoria, kill Tori Wilson. Let's see here. Robert Hart. A porn only you would like to see. Don't know. I don't know if there's one that only I would like to see. One, yeah, so I don't know if there's just one that only I specifically would want to see. Hector Tamez, if you were to smoke, who would you rather smoke with, Jeff Hardy, RVD, or Jack Swagger? Hardy's vices, I think, are more pill related. Swagger's an amateur. You gotta go with RVD. You know he's got to get that good shit. You know he knows what he's doing. You know he's got to be cool to get high with. So I'd have to go with RVD. There's no doubt in my mind about it. What's more likely to happen first comes from Jacob Houston. Jay Cutler taking the Bears to a Super Bowl or Karen Jarrett winning the Kentucky Derby? I guess technically Jay Cutler taking the Bears to the Super Bowl is highly unlikely as either thing is to occur. Cutler would have a better chance because technically Karen Jarrett is too old of a horse to race in the Kentucky Derby, let alone win it. So unless they change the rules, and I don't think they ever would, I would just have to say Jay Cutler. But that doesn't say much. Eric Dennis, fuck, Mary Kill, Nicole Bass, China, Karen Jarrett. Oh God. Fuck China, marry Nicole Bass, kill Karen Jarrett. In terms of China, I mean, she's the closest to actual being a female. So I guess you got to go with that. She probably knows what she's doing. And Nicole Bass, you can get married without having to consummate the marriage. Sleep in separate rooms, that type of stuff. And then, Karen Jarrett, well, she comes up limp. She's a horse. There you go. Africado, in your opinion, who would you consider a sheep in the YWC? I'm not going to name any specific people, but the people that defend TNA when it's obvious that they're doing stupid shit, they would be considered sheep. The ones on the WWE side of the fence that always try to spin everything positive, even though you're sitting there and you're looking at them and like, what the fuck planet or universe are you living in? And in a lot of cases, especially from the WWE standpoint, it's because some of these people, especially some of these bigger name people in terms of wrestling journalists, what have you, are kissing ass and sucking up, in order to get in better. And that's the truth of the matter. So there's a lot of sheep out there. The Rusty Gillespie. Would you rather see Brock versus The Rock 2 or Rock versus Randy Orton or Rock Cena 3? Out of those three, I'd rather see Brock versus Rock 2. Yeah. I don't know that I want to really see Rock versus Cena the third time. If you're telling me you could give me Brock versus Rock, and the last time that match happened was back in 2002. I mean, that's got to win out to me. Samuel Shepard, what should new wrestling companies do to be prominent as well as stand out? Not follow the TNA business model. find their own identity and run with it and get the word out, market and promote their shit. Thanks for your questions, guys. It's the end of part 1. Part 2 is coming up.